Ambassador Kethvar's mandibles clicked nervously as he watched the human delegation file out of the Galactic Council chambers. Their movements were precise, controlled, but underneath that diplomatic veneer, he sensed something that made his exoskeleton shiver. The humans weren't angry. They were done. "Ambassador Chen," Kethvar called out, his translator struggling with the urgency in his voice. "Surely we can discuss this further." The human woman turned slowly, her dark eyes meeting his compound ones. There was no hatred there, no fury, just a cold, calculated finality that chilled him more than any tantrum could have. "No," she said simply. "We're past discussions." 3 months earlier, the Galactic Council had seemed so reasonable. Humanity had been a member for barely 50 standard cycles, still considered newcomers despite their rapid technological advancement. The established races, the Kethani with their hive-minded efficiency, the crystalline Zephyrite with their mathematical perfection, the energy-based Luminals with their ancient wisdom, had grown concerned about human expansion. Humans breed too quickly, High Counselor Zefton had declared, its crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into prismatic warnings. They spread to 17 systems in merely 4 decades. This rate of expansion threatens established territories. The luminal representative, ancient beyond measure, had pulsed agreement. Their emotional volatility makes them unpredictable neighbors. We propose restrictions. The restrictions had started small. Trade limitations, colonization permits required for any new settlement, mandatory council oversight for human research projects. Ambassador Chen had protested, but ultimately agreed, understanding the need for galactic harmony. But the council had mistaken human cooperation for weakness. The next set of restrictions came within a standard cycle. Humans could no longer carry weapons aboard space stations. Human ships required council escorts in neutral space. Human children needed special permits to attend interspecies academies. Chen had grown quieter during these sessions, but she continued to negotiate, to compromise. Then came the order that broke everything. All human settlements beyond the Sol system must surrender 50% of their population for redistribution to Council-approved worlds, High Counselor Zefton announced. This will ensure proper integration and prevent the formation of exclusively human enclaves. The chamber had fallen silent. Even the usually chattering Kethani delegates stopped their clicking. Ambassador Chen had stood slowly. "You want us to give up our children." "For the greater galactic good," the luminol pulsed. "Emotional attachment to offspring is a primitive response that hinders species development." That's when Kethvar first saw it. That look in Chen's eyes. Not anger, but something far more dangerous. Understanding. "I need to consult with Earth," Chen had said, her voice perfectly level. The council had granted a recess, confident in their position. After all, what could one species do against the combined might of 47 galactic civilizations? They found out 3 months later. The first sign came when human trade ships simply stopped coming. No announcements, no dramatic gestures, they just vanished from galactic commerce. The council initially dismissed it as a minor tantrum. Then the Kethani frontier colonies started reporting something impossible. Human ships were appearing in their territory, not the clunky, primitive vessels the council remembered, but sleek predators that moved through space like living things. When challenged, they didn't respond to hails. They simply continued their mysterious business and vanished. High Counselor Zefton called an emergency session. The humans are violating 17 galactic treaties with their unauthorized presence in our space. Ambassador Chen's response had been broadcast from Earth itself, her image projected into the chamber with crystal clarity. Behind her, the blue-green jewel of humanity's birth world rotated slowly, deceptively peaceful. We are no longer bound by treaties with entities that consider our children property to be redistributed, she said. As of today, humanity withdraws from all Galactic Council agreements. The luminal flickered with what might have been concern. You cannot survive alone. You lack the resources, the knowledge. Do we? Chen interrupted. Funny thing about humans, counselors. We're very good at learning. Do you know what we've been doing these past 3 months while you debated how to carve up our families? The view screen behind her shifted, showing images that made the assembled delegates' various forms of breathing stop. Human ships, hundreds of them, sleek and deadly, armed with weapons that bent space itself. Stations that hadn't existed months before, bristling with technology that made Council science look primitive. And everywhere, humans working with a focused intensity that spoke of species-wide unity forged in righteous anger. We've been remembering something you forgot, Chen continued. Humans don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to win. And you just gave us something to win against. The Kethani delegate's voice cracked through his translator. This is impossible. Your technology levels were deliberately understated, Chen said with a smile that held no warmth. Did you really think a species that went from wooden ships to interstellar travel in 500 years would just stop innovating? That had been the last transmission. Now, 3 standard cycles later, the Galactic Council was fracturing. Human ships enforced their own trade routes with ruthless efficiency. Council patrols that approached human space simply disappeared. Not destroyed. That would have been understandable. They just vanished, leaving behind only modified quantum. Signatures that human technology could apparently track across dimensional barriers. Worse, other species were beginning to question the Council's authority. If humans could simply opt out and thrive, what did that say about the necessity of galactic government? Kethvar watched the chamber empty as yet another emergency session ended in failure. The humans hadn't attacked anyone. They didn't need to. They had simply removed themselves from a game they no longer wished to play, and in doing so, exposed how much the galaxy had depended on their participation. His mandibles clicked one final time as he processed the most terrifying realization. Of all, the humans weren't angry anymore. They were just done with all of them. And in the growing darkness of a galaxy fracturing along species lines, that cold dismissal felt like the end of everything the Council had built. The age of negotiation was over. The age of consequences had begun.